Hey, it's Clayton from howtodrawcomics.net and bartonbrostudios.com. In this video, we're going to be talking about putting your best foot forward when it comes to your art. Now, your art could be anything. It could be comic books, it could be music, it could be making movies, it could be making video games, whatever it is. The reason that I wanted to bring this topic up and discuss it is because I understand more than anyone else that when it comes to those big illustrations, or heck, even those more massive projects like a full comic book, movie, or video game that can take years and years to complete, it can be very easy to lose the motivation and the drive to work on it, to keep that flame of passion that you initially had stoked enough to really not just see it through to the end, but do an amazing job on it all the way through. You know, we tend to get right toward the finish line on something that we're working on and then cut corners. We let our foot off of the accelerator and we become complacent. We become lazy. In fact, it's almost like a bit of a curve of progress. In the beginning, we're very, very productive. We're excited about starting this new thing that we're about to create. And so that inspiration, that passion, that drive that we've got, it's fueling us. It's like rocket fuel, and we're blasting off. But then as we get toward the end, we run out of that fuel. It becomes diminished, and we start really chugging along toward the end, putting along, and it's almost like we're right there, we're right at the finish line, and we're dragging our heels all the way there. And the problem with that is, as we drag it out, we end up losing more and more motivation. The more familiar we become with it, the more time we spend on something, funnily enough, the more uninterested we become in it, because no longer is it this novel new idea that we're about to start. It's this old idea that we've been working on for an extended period of time, and we're just over it. And instead of speeding things along and just getting it finished, as I said, we drag our heels and we take forever and ever. We lose more and more motivation, and we just do a really crummy job right at the end there after we've put in so much effort. Now, of course, the opposite can be very true, where we start out, we're very passionate, we're very excited about a project, and then toward the end, we start to really just rush all the way there. And we rush so much that we start to just leave mistakes that we could have fixed. We begin making decisions that really don't serve the artwork other than getting it done quicker, and ultimately lead to a less than satisfactory presentation, or at least a presentation that we're less satisfied with, because we know when we're putting in 100%. We know when we're putting in 200%, and we know when we're completely half-assing something and not really living up to our full potential as an artist. And if you are somebody like that who does this on occasion, what can tend to happen is it becomes a habit. The first project that you decide to cut corners on, whether it be a single illustration or something more long-term, what you'll find is that it becomes easier and easier to do that as time goes on. The next project you start, you do the exact same thing. You might even do it faster. Maybe, that inspiration is there for a day, but then the rest of the week it's just, all right, let's just get this thing done. Let's rush it. Let's get it on the conveyor belt. Boom. It's done. Right? And it doesn't matter how it looks in the end. It's done, certainly not perfect. But deep down, in a place we might not even be conscious of, what we've really done there is we've disrespected our craft and what we're capable of creating. We've disrespected the end product. And that can really mess with our self-esteem as creators, as artists. It can make us feel like we're not masters, that we're of our craft, that we're not, that we don't even care about what it is we do. And the more that this subconscious feeling sinks in, the less excited we become, and the more depressed we feel, the more we start to gain this almost anxiety about actually sitting down at the desk to draw or to create music or to edit a movie. We start to avoid it. We sleep in later. We go to bed earlier. That excitement just isn't there because we're not pushing ourselves. It's difficult to feel the same rush that we did in the beginning when we cared, because when we cared enough to overcome the challenges that were before us. We cared enough to finesse every single little aspect of that presentation that we were preparing. But if we don't care enough to do that, then what is there to engage us? What is there to fuel our fire, to give us meaning as craftsmen? Why are we doing what we're doing in the first place if we're really not going to use it to the best of our ability? Why do we spend all those years learning our craft? Why do we care so much about gaining the abilities to do this or that, if in the end none of it really mattered? And having this feeling associated to something that was once a passion for you, something that you once loved, is just downright unhealthy. So even though it's easy to rush things and to cut corners in order to get it done, we want to avoid doing it at all costs. In fact, we want to do the opposite. We want to develop a high level of care for that which we produce, and we want to cherish our abilities. We want to exercise them each and every day and make that a habit rather than the former, where we were just, half-assing it all the way through. We want to make it a habit to put our best foot forward, to be exceptional, not objectively necessarily, but subjectively, to know that we've done an exceptional job for where we're at in our artistic journey. And what's brilliant about that is, A, it becomes a habit, it becomes the norm. Okay, we just know that that's what we're expecting from ourselves when we go into a brand new project. But we also up our skill set. We hone our skill set. We polish our skill set. Instead of becoming sloppier, our abilities become sharper. And we become quicker at executing things to a high degree of excellence. Okay, there's a lot of pros to really putting your best foot forward. Yes, it is painful. Yes, you spend more hours doing it. It can be agonizing. It can be depleting. You may suffer burnout. But those are the things. That's the adversity that makes you grow as a creator. And you need it. It's a healthy thing to have as a creator. I know I'm sitting here saying that burnout is a good thing for you as a creator, but it's actually true. You've got to really give this your absolute all. You've got to sacrifice yourself to it. Otherwise, what's the point? You could be doing anything else, because anything else is way easier. And if you want it to be easy, then just drop it. If you want to be comfortable, drop it. Do something else, for goodness sake. Because this is not your game if that's the case. You will be absolutely miserable if you value comfort over excellence, over being the most supreme version of yourself that you can be as an artist or a creator. And if you've got people who are working for you and you can see their potential and they're not living up to it, then it's your responsibility, especially if you respect them as an artist, to call them out on it and to help them push themselves to the very limit that they can possibly and absolutely achieve. Because they'll get better and they'll thank you for it in the long run. And you'll always be looking at the work that they're handing in through that very lens, through that lens of perfection. Yeah, we don't want to be perfectionists, of course, because nothing will ever be perfect. But our perfect can always be perfect. Okay, so live up to your own level of perfection. Right? Nobody is going to be completely perfect all the way around, but you know what your level of perfection is. You know what you're capable of achieving. All you've got to do is make sure that you put all that you possibly can into what it is you're creating to live up to it. That's it for today. I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you got some value out of it. If you did, drop me a comment below. Drop me a like, hit subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications so you don't miss any more of these videos. If you'd like more comic art tips, tricks, and tutorials, be sure to visit www.howtodrawcomics.net. And on top of that, I'd invite you to check out our comic book, Kozor, Descent into Madness, especially if you like dark fantasy, medieval horror. It'll be right up your alley. All right, that's all for today. Until next time, take care, and I'll see you soon.